I am Emily, I work for Maid Agency, and I'm one of those managers who's trying not to be a dickhead. And in my journey with Maid over the last year, we have made some big changes. So when I first started, we were doing exactly what you just described, Susie, and there were so many dedicated people in our team, and they were working all the hours under the sun, and you could see that they were really, really enjoying their jobs, but they were spending all their time at work. So when we looked at changing the ethos and the culture of our company and the well-being of our staff, we kind of thought, why are they at work so much, and why are they actually working, and are we getting the most amount of work from them? So this is kind of to do with productivity a lot of the time. So we were having a look around the globe and seeing how other people do it and thinking about well-being. And we came up with the ethos of Lagom. Now, I don't know if you've heard of hygge or hygge. I don't know how it's spelled. That's quite a Swedish way. I think that means sort of the feeling of being cozy. But Lagom is literally translating into not too much, not too little, just right. So we were thinking, well, what is just right? How much work is just the right amount? How much work is too much? How much work is too little? How much time are you spending at work? Is it too much? Is it too little? And it's now literally run through the whole of our business and the whole of our team, to the point where even the milk in the tea, is it Lagom enough, a Lagom amount of milk? Is it too much? Is it too little? We're a little bit obsessed with it now. But it's really important because a lot of people spend so much time at work, and when you think about your very short life, sorry to be depressing about it, but when you think about your life and how much time you spend at work, you spend a lot of time in your workplace, and as you were saying, if it's not a nice place to be, it's really, really depressing. So we thought about how other people do it, and we saw companies even in Norwich who have slides and sweep machines and pool tables, and we were like, well, that's great, but it keeps people at work when they're not working. Why are we not just letting people go home? So the Swedes did it really, really cleverly, and they gave people a 6-hour working day. So we thought, that sounds like a great idea. We actually, our brilliant director, Mark Merriwest, he came up with the idea, and he put it on the board once and told us we were going to work for 6 hours rather than 8. And we all kind of just nervously laughed, and we're like, oh God, we're not going to be paid as much. But it's not that at all. And we actually were like, well, brilliant. What's the catch here? There isn't actually really a catch. So the way we do it is we actually split our day quite productively, and we have really focused times. So I think myself and Ian were talking about this earlier, is giving people the trust to manage their own time. But what's really interesting is it's getting that trust back again. So when people manage their own time, there are lots of companies that we heard of that say you can have as much holiday as you want with flexible work times, you can come in whenever you like, and that's great, but think about it. If you were given as much holidays as you wanted for your company, how much would you actually take? Probably not as much as you would be given if you were actually given an allotted holiday, because you'd feel bad about it, right? I know I would. I probably wouldn't take any holiday. So that didn't work. So we thought, well, what can work? Our 6-hour working day is a way of giving people more time. What we do is we structure the day, and in the morning we have a very quick stand-up meeting, so we know what everyone's doing for the day. We then have an hour and a half of really focused time, and we turn emails off, we turn our phones off, we don't talk to each other. We really don't. We have red time. Now it sounds like being at school, and it kind of is in a way, because you just don't talk to each other. And that means you've got an hour and a half of your time to really get down and do a task that you were going to do. And if you think about sitting there and you've got a task to do, and you might be typing away or doing a report or something, and someone comes along and says, can you just, and your focus is already taken away. You get an email ping in, you go, oh, I'll just reply to that. It takes about 10 minutes to get back into your task. And that's what we found that was happening with the agency, is that everyone was busy, but busy doing 100 things at once, and it just doesn't work. Your brain is not focused, and you're not being as productive as you possibly could. So we have an hour and a half in the morning of very productive time. It gets to about 10:30, and someone cracks and goes, right, who wants a coffee? And we're like, oh. and someone goes and makes a coffee, and we get up and we walk around and we have a bit of a break. So that is great, because you suddenly think, wow, I've done so much in so little time. And it's amazing when you think back to past jobs that you've had, you thought, in this hour and a half, I'd have only just been started doing some work now, because I would have probably checked Facebook, had an email, maybe spoken to my friend about what I did at the weekend. It's unbelievable how much time people spend at work not working. So 10:30 we have a coffee, and then until midday it's then amber time. It really is that sad. It's then amber time, and we're able to get together and meet and be more collaborative and talk to each other. We arrange all of our meetings at 10:30 up until midday, and then all of us go to lunch at the same time. We lock the door, so no one can sit there at the computer and go, yeah, in a second. No, you have a break at 12 o'clock, and we all have an hour together. And it's unbelievable how much we all chat and get to know each other. And in the first sort of month when I started working, before we brought this on, I didn't know anything about anyone. And now a year on, everyone knows everyone so much better. And there are people that have been working together for 10 years that didn't even know the names of their husbands and wives, and now they do. It's amazing. So that hour we spend together, and the afternoon we do what we did in the morning. We have another hour and a half of very productive work, and then up until 4 o'clock we then get together and have a little bit more of a relaxed collaboration time. And that means we can literally put down our stuff at 4 o'clock and go home. It's amazing. And I know my other half works until 5:30, sometimes 6, sometimes 6:30. If the director is in, sometimes 7. And it's ridiculous, because I've already been shopping, cooked, put the washing on. I sound like a right woman, don't I? He does that stuff too sometimes. But I have got so much more time to live my life, and he'll come home and he'll be stressed, and he'll still think about work for another 2 hours, and then it's bedtime, and then he's got to go back to work. So the next day when he goes in, he's already muddled. He's already not thinking about work. He's not in work. He's thinking about the email that he should have sent last night. It's ridiculous, and for his well-being it's really, really bad. So whereas I've had the time to go, right, I should have done that today, but that's okay, because I've got such a focused amount of time tomorrow morning where no one can come and distract me. I'm going to get on with it and do that. Now, it was really difficult for me when Mark first told us about Lagom, because I thought, well, I'm client focused, I'm a business development manager, so I have to answer emails. That's my job, I need to talk to people. So how on earth are they going to feel if I don't email them back at 10 o'clock? Haven't had a problem with it. We've been doing it for a year now, and not one person, not one client has said, why didn't you email me back before 10:30? Not one person. And I think that's really important. When you think about how many businesses there are who expect you to be there from 9, sometimes until 6 o'clock, and clients expect you to email them back. You have to set that expectation. Why do they expect that? And a lot of clients just don't expect that. You are thinking that they would expect that, which is, you need to get out of the habit of that as well. So it's been quite life-changing for us, to be completely honest. We've not had any problems with clients waiting for things, and now they've got so used to the way that we do things that they just expect an email not until 10:30. Nothing is that urgent that it can't wait. And as for emails at home, it just doesn't happen. Just put the emails down, it can wait till tomorrow. Could you click me? This is the most embarrassing picture. I really do apologise. So this is our team. There's always one goofball in the middle there. But we've since employed another 2 people. Our team is growing really, really rapidly, and we're all really happy. Now that sounds really cliche, but we've got managers who are not dickheads. And
it's really important.
I love that phrase. And we care. What we wanted to do is give back to our employees what they give to us. So flexibility in the way that we get to actually go home early, and we get to have so much time to ourselves, and we get to go to doctor's appointments without booking time off, and we get to go shopping, and we get to just live our lives as our lives that is not constantly pulled by work. We gave that back so that they could give us productivity. Now a lot of people say, well, why don't you just make them work 8 hours instead of 6? If you're getting as much productivity out of 6 hours, surely you can make them work a little bit more, and it will get, you'll get more productivity. You'll get more work done. It doesn't work like that. I literally bet if you sat down and you were trying to be as productive as possible, how long would you last? Probably an hour and a half, and you go, oh my God, I need a break. And how many of you can genuinely say that you work solidly for 7 hours, 8 hours? Nah, no one, not one person. And if you do, you're a superhero, let's be honest. So I think it's really important to get the message out there that why do companies expect us to work an 8-hour day? Why? Because what if they thought about things differently and they started to say, if people have more time at home, they're more likely to enjoy being back at work. So there we go, that is what we do. And it's been great. I had a talk at the Best Employers event a couple of weeks ago, and myself and Mark did this talk to a whole room full of businesses across Norfolk, and the comments we got were classic. There were so many people that go, that wouldn't work for us. That definitely wouldn't, it's not possible. And we're like, why? Well, because time equals money. And I'm like, does it? How much time are your staff spending on work and how much time are they spending not on work? Well, they didn't really have, there's no real comeback. And there are a lot of businesses that say, well, we have to man the phones at certain times. We have to make sure we're accessible between 7 and 8 p.m, for example. Well, fine, but why are you making people stay from 9 o'clock to 8 p.m? Why can you not think about how you're structuring your staff? There are so many different ways that you can really take it on and think about it. But the only thing I will say is, if you do want to do it, you have to be strict with yourself. You can't have that flexibility without a little bit of structure. You have to be strict and put your phone in the drawer and get on with a bit of work, because you will be rewarded for it later. So, yeah, that's it. Does anyone had to make it short and snappy. Has anyone got any questions? Yes. Yeah.
Does the structure you've currently got preclude you from employing people on flexible hours, your company specifically, because of that structure?
No. So we have 2 part-time staff. The nice thing is, when you talk about flexibility and flexible hours, what do you really mean by flexible? Do you mean that someone needs to come in at 10 o'clock rather than 9? Fine, absolutely fine. They have to follow the same sort of structure. The nice thing is about the times is that everyone knows where we all are at what point. So before we introduced Lagom, there would be one of our developers who would work. It would be 3:30, and he'd be like, "I haven't even had lunch yet," and he just wouldn't eat, and he felt awful. And then there would be some that would go for lunch at 11 and some at 2, and we didn't know where everyone was. So we introduced this to make sure that everyone knew what they were doing and when, to give that structure. But with flexibility, it's a similar structure. You're allowing them the flexibility in the structure that you're giving. So I don't know how to explain it, but in everyone that we've worked for, and there were people with children, they need to drop people like kids off at school and things like that. It kind of works around it. So the way of leaving at 4 o'clock means everyone. So Katie has 2 children, and she can go and pick up her children. Like, there's about half an hour between, but normally she'd have had to have left at 5:30. So I suppose our staff have fitted in around it as well, and they've sort of almost structured their lives around that very short space of time. But we do have a couple of part-time staff, and you know, they just work with what we've got. Does that kind of answer the question? Maybe not. Yeah.
What about the introverted people who do want to sit at their desk at lunchtime and don't want to go out and don't necessarily want to have a conversation all the time because they find it draining? And what about the people who are there because they enjoy their work and they enjoy what they're doing and they don't want to stop after 6 hours?
So that's so the first one is definitely not me. As you can tell, I talk forever. But there are a couple of people like it, and they don't have to sit and talk to us. The good thing is you are free to do whatever you want between 12 and 1. We just say that, yeah. There is Michael on the end is also a film editor in his spare time, and he does a little bit of, sometimes he does some work for himself on his computer. But the point of it is to get away and have a break, because the human brain cannot cope with too much light and stimulation over a certain period of time. It just makes you tired. So we say to him, look, well, half an hour is okay. But the point is he gets to leave at 4. So in his own time in the evenings, he's got enough time to go and do whatever he wants on the computer. Now, for everyone else who might be an introvert, do whatever you like. We're fortunate because we're right in the centre of the city, so you can go out and have a walk, go and sit down. We've got areas in our office that it's quite an open plan office, but we do have areas that people can go and sit on their own, and that's quite important. Although I do think big open plan areas in offices sometimes don't work, because they are super distracting, and that's why there's a new office that we had at the Best Employers, and they've just opened this brand new, beautiful, very cool office, and there's like sofas and they can sit wherever they like, but they don't get a desk. And I'm like, that freaks me out, because where's your space? So it's ridiculous. And there's so many companies out there. I know I'm going off track a little bit, sorry, I do this. There's so many companies out there who want to create work to be like home, and they have all these like comfortable sofas, and I know we've got a sofa there, but there's one thing about making it comfortable, and there's another of getting rid of the structure of work so that you can't work. And I think that's really important, because this new office that they built, you can sit wherever you like, in the canteen, in the sofas, it's hot desking all over the place, but how is that good for you? How is that well-being? Because you're always distracted. I don't know how I would ever get any work done without having my own space. But anyway,
great.
Yeah. But that's where if everyone is on the hour and a half, that's the best thing.
It's possible to have a break without enforcing it between 12:30 and 1:30. And sometimes, perhaps it's different in an agency if you've got discrete tasks, but sometimes you've got something that takes longer, and you can dip in and out, and you can have a break. In some of our guys' case, they go out and have a cigarette, or we stop and we make a cup of tea. Those natural breaks occur. And I think when people are enjoying what they're doing, they want to do more of it and see it.
Yeah.
Sometimes fixed. Don't get me wrong, I don't force the people who work with me to work as long as they can, but I know some of them like to work at certain times and not at others.
I think that is a good point, and everyone is different. However, and I go back to school, and although I don't want to, as I said it earlier, I can never say this word, infantilize. As long as I wouldn't want to talk down to us as adults, but then at the same time, we do need a little bit of structure in our lives. Humans do naturally need a bit of structure, and therefore, if you get used to being in the routine of, right, between 9 and 10:30, I'm working, I have a break, 12 till 1, I have lunch, and then again in the afternoon, that's you naturally then fall into that structure.
It's being forced upon you, though, isn't it?
In a great way, because you can go home at 4.
I personally quite enjoy the flexibility of just not having an alarm clock in the morning, for
Yeah.
example. Yeah. I really enjoy waking up naturally. My partner, with her alarm blaring off in the morning, seems like a total nightmare. My place allows me to just essentially turn up when I like, the flexible time that you were alluding to earlier.
Yeah.
How would I establish that within? I think that's what we're looking
I
at.
think that it's great for you, but then for your business, do they know where you are at what time?
That's what I want to pick up on. Why do you need to know where people are?
Yeah.
Because we work quite collaboratively, so we've got developers, designers constantly talking to each other.
For that hour and a half in the morning,
Yeah.
hour and a half in the afternoon.
Yeah, so you've got tasks to do it in the morning, and that one task you can do, and then that whole hour until midday, then you have a bit more collaboration time.
So could you not work it around the other way, so that they've got their amber time, did you say? Everybody knows when the amber time is.
Yeah.
They make sure they're available for conversations wherever they happen to physically be during that time, and
Yeah.
the time is normal working time.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's how it works for you. The idea is to allow everyone else to have the structure. So you've got to understand, if I really want to get on with a task, but you want to be flexible, and you're coming in and out and you're talking, and it's distracting me as well. And then when I'm distracted, I'm not working, and actually the whole office is then unproductive. So that's why we have structure, and that's why schools have structure, and it works. And we've seen that as well. And again, Michael on the end, who is the most disorganised person I've ever met, love him. He'll be fine with me saying that. He's so flitty and all over the place, and he loves working, and he will sit there and work till 10 o'clock at night if you let him. But why would you let him?
Why
Because
would you stop him if that's what
But does he want to, or does he feel like he has to?
It's not healthy.
Does he want to, or does he feel like he has to?
If that's what he wants to do, why stop him?
So I think it comes back to like the first talk in the sense of like looking out for people's well-being. It's like I've like had the opportunity to have the freedom to like work really late hours because I just want to, but then like I've come to realise over the years that like doing that, like I'm way happier when I actually be like, right, no, look, I should just go to bed and I should then start again tomorrow, because it's not sustainable to then keep doing that.
I think
I've flip-flopped between the two, and it almost takes my employee, like an employee, or not so much thinking of someone as an employee, but just to say like, no, just go home, it's fine, come back tomorrow, and funnily enough, I'm way better mentally.
So we've set, it's about expectations. We've set the expectation that we want you to work your hardest from 9 till 4. Anything you do after that is up to you, but we really want you to go home and have a break and relax. And I don't know if you've ever really been stuck, as a developer, maybe there are a few developers, you've been absolutely stuck on something and you just can't work it out. And the more you press at it, the less you're going to do. You go away and you have a break, you go home, you sit with your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, you come back at it and you're like, oh my God, like I could have thought about that last night. So
it's learning to recognise when that happens and stopping it.
Absolutely, but by telling our staff, we don't expect you to be here after this time, there is the freedom. You instantly breathe and you say, okay, well now...
Tell your staff that you don't expect them to work overtime. I don't expect my staff to work overtime.
I think the point of having the 6 hours is that they are the most productive within 6 hours. We do as much as anyone else does in 8. That's the point. We're not doing less work in 6 hours. We're not even doing more work in 6 hours. We're doing what we need to do. We figured we need to do that much work in 6 hours so we can give people the flexibility and the time to then go and do what they want with those other hour and a half. And I think that's the difference.
Do you ever find the rules get broken? Because half an hour into the hour and a half, someone thinks, oh God, I've got to speak to this person, otherwise I can't do anything.
Yeah, so as I said, we're not school. I'm not like a headmaster, and Mark isn't a dickhead. We understand that completely. I think it's about respect. So respecting each other is knowing those rules, knowing there is rules there, so everyone feels secure in them and knows what everyone else is doing. But it's also not, we're not stupid enough to say, right, I can't get on with this task unless I talk to them. So you're not going to sit there for an hour and a half like I've got nothing to do. So the point is, you go over and you try and make as little noise as you possibly. I'm so sorry, I can't get on with this unless I speak to you. Fine, but that isn't the same as, do you want a cup of coffee, or what are you up to for the weekend, or should we just go and chat about such and such, or there's a massive difference. So the whole ethos is that we respect other people's focus. And if we have to break it, we do, but the other person then understands they're only breaking it so that they can get their own focus back. And that's the main thing. Sorry.
Just to be on your side a bit there as well, Mark has built a culture around the way he wants the business to be and the cultures to be within the business. And it would be fair to say that you may join that business because you like that culture, and then you may not join that business because you don't like that culture. You want the flexibility. I mean, we work on a task-based system, not an hours-based system, and our guys are free to come and go, but they stay with us because they like that
Absolutely.
culture. They wouldn't like this culture.
Absolutely.
But it's a choice, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
and that's why I think it is, as you said, culture based. So again, the slides and the pool tables, that's very Google based, and Google led the way on those fancy ideas of how to keep people in work and how to make them have fun. And that's fine, that works for them for certain reasons, and it attracts people for those reasons. I'm not sure if Bill from finance still uses the slide, but he was attracted by it in the first place, perhaps. But the point is, it's a business. We want to. It is a culture, and we all believe in it. So, if you were going to join the team, you would naturally, be attracted to people of the same sort of similar ethos as you. But it has attracted. We get applications every single day because people are like, I only have to work 6 hours, sweet. But not knowing that we actually can't talk to each other for 3 hours a day. But it is exactly as you said. It's a different culture, and the thing is, we do live and breathe it now. So it's in everything that we do. Our processes are streamlined. It is very Scandinavian. It is quite chilled out. We are super nice people and we care about each other. And that does attract loads of people. And if it doesn't, great. Like, honestly, we honestly don't mind. Go and find somewhere that you are happy. Sorry. I
was going to make that same point really. The gentleman at the back wants to lay in. He's got
Yeah.
a choice of whether he comes to work for you or whether he
Absolutely.
wants a 30-hour week.
Yep.
And that's the choice that we all make.
Yeah.
About what we want to put into a role. I was going to ask that point about people coming in.
Yep.
And what the transition is for. So you know, if you're coming in, if this is your new first ever job,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to go in and go, well, you know, they're actually work more hours than they were at university anyway. So, but if someone's been in the world of work and they're used to working a 48-hour week, or you know, and you know, busting an all-nighter and that, how long does it take them to transition into this? How long does it take to get comfortable with it?
It's weird. It's weird. So we went from working 8:30 till 6:30 some of the time when I first started at Maid. I came from a job where I had to work weekends, do events in the evening, and work till 8. I worked on a cruise ship, which everyone's been on a cruise ship. It's constant, and it was so weird that someone was telling me to stop working and go home and enjoy myself. I was like, am I going to get in trouble for this? It's very strange. And when people come in, so we've had a couple of new developers, they're both female, yes. And they came in and they were like, so hang on, what? Okay, this is great. So we all go for lunch together, we've got pizza, it's fine, great. But it takes a while for getting into the habit of not just going, oh, Katie, does anyone, it's really weird. You have to almost second guess yourself sometimes, but it literally is 2 weeks and you're in that routine. And you go, I know what I'm doing. I know that I have to be focused for an hour and a half, and therefore I know that between 8:30 and 9, I've got to find something to do. I've got to go and speak to those people to be able to do that task, and then I'm going to go and do it. So yeah, it's weird, but once you're in it, you're in it. And it's going to be really hard not to be in it if I ever decide to move on. Yeah, hi.
Perhaps a controversial question, but
Yep.
how many hours is your day rate based on, for example?
Yeah, so that's one thing that we get asked sometimes by clients, and we tell them about a 6-hour day and they're like, oh, you're charging the same price.
Yeah.
But we say to them, well, that's because we do the same amount of work. And actually, none of our clients have been disappointed in the work that they've done, that we've done.
The day rate is the same and there's
Absolutely, absolutely. Salaries are the same. No, absolutely. And each job we tend, every agency prices differently, but we tend to price on a per job basis based on how long we think it's going to take. And if a job takes 3 hours, it might be done on that day, and that's because that designer has 3 hours in that day of productive work. And that's the difference, because before, when all the emails were coming in and they were doing everything, that might have taken 3 days, but it would have only been 3 hours work. So it's actually, as I said, productivity has gone through the roof.
So if you ask a developer how long time it's going to take,
Please don't get me started on that. Don't get me started. That is, they're a difficult breed. No, it's Mark has just done an MBA, so this is again where all of these amazing ideas come from, and he literally sat down with a spreadsheet and worked out how valuable each of us was and how valuable each of our days were. And what
has he shared that spreadsheet?
And sadly I was an overhead because I'm not actually producing anything. I was like, great, thanks. But he's still great, so I promise. But it's very interesting where we've all gone, okay, like if we if we are the most productive we could possibly be, and we worked the hardest we could possibly be, and we knew that at 4 o'clock I could not have worked any harder and I can go home and rest, well, everyone's happy. If you genuinely get to the end of the day and you say, this is awesome, I've done as much work as I possibly can, we've worked that out. We've worked that out as a day of your work. And that, again, that's cutting out all the crap that people normally do in the daytime. And it's unbelievable. The next day you have, and you'll have people come and speak to you and just try and tot up that time. It's a lot of time that we spend at work doing no work. Yeah.
Did your company ever consider a 4-day week over a 6?
No, no, because it wouldn't have solved any of the issues. We in those 4 days we'd have been working 12 hours, so it wouldn't have solved anything. The point is short, sharp bursts of productivity, so you don't get tired, and then a rest. And that's the point, that's why it has to be over 5. Because great if you've got the whole weekend, but those Monday to Thursday, you're still in the cycle of working and getting tired and not having a break. And so, no, it just wouldn't have worked for this particular ethos.
I also think it just gives you another day of spending money.
Yeah. And also
3 days, I was thinking about it.
3 days for shopping.
Also, I think as well,
Between 4 and 5.
yeah. When you think about it as well, though, the whole country still works 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, pretty much.
But your day is a 7-hour day, right? But you're not including the lunch hour.
No, including the lunch hour. So, oh, hang on, no.
7.
7-hour day. So we work 6 hours. Yeah.
And do you have to spend lunchtime together?
No, absolutely. You're free to.
Like you all go together.
No, this is what I'm saying. This is the nice thing. We don't have to, but we choose to now as a team. And the great thing is we don't really integrate as a team outside of work. And that's not because we don't like each other, but it's because we don't need to, because work is work and home is home. And I found that really difficult when I managed art galleries. My consultants always wanted to come out and do things with me after work, and I used to be like, I've just spent all day with you. I really like you, but also leave me alone.
And I really like the balance of female to male.
Do you know, we've just tipped it now. We've just got another female developer. We're now slightly more female than male. This time last year, I know, yeah. This time last year, we only had, including me, we only had 3 females. So we've really stepped up, and maybe that's because females are all for well-being in the workplace. Maybe.
All for 6 hours a day.
There you go. Shopping. I don't know. No, but it's really interesting because again, Sweden are a fantastic case study. They actually worked it out that it works in healthcare really, really well. And you'd immediately go, well, healthcare, that needs to be 24/7. But in actual fact, when people are more relaxed and rested, they give much better care. And they were finding that happiness and care and attention and well-being and love for the job was through the roof. It did mean that they needed to employ more people because they needed to cover those times. But is that bad for the economy? No, probably not. So Sweden are the forefront of the 6-hour working day, and they've stuck with it. So this is why we're giving these talks, and we're trying to talk to people, because there is really no reason that you couldn't do it. It takes maybe some people more effort to try and get into than others, but actually give it a go, be open-minded about it, because it's, again, those expectations. If you set those expectations, if the whole country set those expectations, we wouldn't be expected to be in the office till 10:30. And we might want to at home, we might want to go and do some work at home because we might absolutely love our jobs. But the expectation, that's the difference, is not there on your shoulders. So, big change. Thanks.
Awesome, thank you.